Go and open your wardrobe right now if you can, and I bet that somewhere in there, past the jeans you actually wear and the hoodie that is basically your second skin, there is a shirt with the tag still on it. A dress worn exactly once to a wedding in 2023. Trousers that fit a version of you from 2 stone ago, kept purely out of optimism. You know they are there, I know they are there. And today, we are going to put a number on them because that quiet row of hangers is one of the most expensive things you own, and almost nobody in Britain has ever done the maths on it. I will go first because fair is fair. I learned this the hard way when I was 26. I bought a linen shirt for a mate's wedding, 45 quid, lovely thing, wore it once. It then hung in my wardrobe for 3 years like a small, beautifully pressed monument to poor decision making. And when I finally moved flats, I found 4 more shirts behind it in exactly the same condition. That was the day I actually counted, and I have never bought clothes the same way since. If your wardrobe has its own section of clothes with the tag still on, subscribe. I make UK finance simple every day, one number at a time. Right, let's take a glance at the national picture because this is not just you and me. WRAP, the waste charity, ran the biggest study of British clothing habits ever done. They found out that the average UK adult owns 118 items of clothing. Of those 118 clothing, 31 of them have not been worn even once in the past year. That is a quarter of the entire wardrobe hanging there doing absolutely nothing. Across the country, unworn garments stacks up to £1.6 billion, not in shops, not in warehouses, but in our houses, behind our bedroom doors, quietly depreciating next to the ironing board. And we keep feeding them. Brits spend over £4 billion a month on clothes, roughly £76 each, every single month, which nationally works out at more than 2 tons of clothing bought every minute of every day. Nearly half of us buy something new at least once a month, and about 1 in 8 of us buys clothing every single week. The average Brit puts close to £1,000 a year through the tills on new clothes. Now hold those 2 facts together, £1,000 a year in, while a quarter of what we already own never leaves the hanger. If a quarter of this year's spending follows the same pattern, and the research says it will, that is roughly £250 a year per adult spent on clothes that will essentially never be worn. Per household with 2 adults, it can sum up to £500 a year. This means that summed up, over a decade, a proper chunk of money will be spent on fabric whose main job is absorbing dust. So what does this actually mean for you? It means the question that matters was never can I afford this? The question is what will this actually cost per wear? And that one small reframe changes everything. So let me show you how it works. Take a £60 pair of jeans, sounds steep next to a £25 pair, but jeans are the workhorses of the British wardrobe. The research shows we use them constantly, so if those £60 jeans get worn 100 times, they cost 60 pence a wear. Now take a £30 going out top bought for one Saturday and never touched again. £30, one wear. That top is 50 times more expensive than the jeans, and it looked cheaper in the shop. Oxfam's research found the average garment in Britain is worn for fewer than 5 days in its entire lifetime, spending over 99% of its existence hanging in the dark. We are not buying clothes, we are buying storage problems with sleeves. Here is where it gets properly interesting though, because WireWrap's data shows exactly which clothes betray us, right down to the sock drawer. The average person owns 15 pairs of socks and ignores 2 of them. 12 t-shirts, 3 never worn. 9 shirts or blouses, a third of them unloved. But the worst offenders by a mile are dresses and skirts, with over 40% of them owned but not worn. And the reasons people give are so familiar they hurt. It's for occasions. It doesn't fit anymore, but it might. I like it, it's just not a priority. Meanwhile, the boring stuff, the jeans, the hoodies, the plain t-shirts, gets worn to absolute death. Your wardrobe is basically 2 wardrobes, a small, hard-working one you live in, and a museum of optimistic purchases you visit occasionally to feel guilty. The trick is that shops only ever sell to the museum. Nobody ever impulse bought a sensible navy jumper because it made them feel like a new person. Now, let's get to the honest bit, because this channel does not sell fairy tales. Clothes are not purely maths. The dress worn once to your daughter's graduation was worth every penny, and no cost per wear formula gets to argue with that. Occasion wear, sentimental pieces, the outfit that got you through the interview, keep them, cherish them, ignore the spreadsheet. The waste this video is aiming at is not the meaningful stuff. It is the £30 impulse top, the fourth pair of nearly identical trainers, the sale rail bargain that was only a bargain if you ever wore it. A £50 thing you never use is not 50% off. It is 100% wasted. So here is the practical version, and none of it involves becoming the sort of person who owns 7 identical grey t-shirts. First, do the count. Tonight, open your wardrobe and count the items you genuinely have not worn in a year. The number will certainly annoy you, and that annoyance is worth more than any budgeting app. Second, adopt the 30 wears test before anything new comes home. Look at the cloth and honestly ask yourself, will I wear this 30 times? If the answer is no, it is not clothing. It is a souvenir, and it should be priced accordingly. Third, run the cost per wear maths on anything over about £30. This is because a £90 coat worn daily for 3 winters is genuinely cheaper than a £25 jacket worn twice. And fourth, before any new purchase, shop your own museum first. There is a decent chance the thing you're about to buy already exists with tags on and 3 hangers deep waiting for you to remember it exists. The research backs this up in a quietly and lovely way too. When we do keep clothes longer, the habit will stick. Jeans are now kept for 4 years on average, up from 3 a decade ago. Second-hand pieces get kept 1.5 years longer than new ones, and a single repair typically buys a garment another 16 months of life. The wardrobe rewards whoever pays attention to it. One last thing. Remember this on your way out of the shop, or rather, on your way back in, those 31 unworn items are not just a lesson, they are an asset. The resale apps have turned Britain's wardrobes into a marketplace, and the dress worn once is worth far more listed tonight than it will be in another 3 years of hanging. Sell the museum, fund the wardrobe you actually wear. That linen shirt of mine, by the way, finally went to the charity shop, where I assume someone is now wearing it more in a month than I managed in 3 years. The maths was embarrassing. Doing it anyway was the single best clothing decision I ever made, and yours is waiting behind your bedroom door. If you learned something from this video, hit that subscribe button. I'll see you in the next one.